How to change a bike chain. It's quite simple to change a bike chain, but first of all you need to think about why you might want to do it in the first place. On this particular bike, it started to slip. The chain has been starting to slip in the mid-ranger gears, which led me to think that perhaps the chain is getting worn. The chains don't get stretched, but what happens is that the links start to wear down, so the distance between the actual pivots gets further and further. To do this, or to check that you actually do need a chain, you need the following things. A chain measuring tool. This tells you if your chain is worn. A link remover. These are very cheap to pick up. A piece of stiff wire, or in this case this is a large paper clip that I've unfolded. And if needed, your replacement chain. And what I find very convenient are these speed links. This is by a brand called SRAM, or SRAM, which is a recognisable brand, and this particular chain cost me about £11 to replace, and it even came with these speed links, but you can pay for these speed links separately. Now, how do I know if my chain needs replacing? Well, you use this particular tool, and it's got two little knobs on, which in each end, and this side here says 0.5, meaning 0.5 millimeter gap, or in other words it's worn. And how it works is that you slip this particular end of the chain in, the tool into the chain, and the other end in theory should not slip into the chain if it is not worn, and you can see mine does, and that's at the 0.5 millimeter fitting, which means I should really be thinking about getting my chain replaced. If I swap it over and use the 0.75 millimeter, you can see it doesn't fit in, so it's not a disaster yet. And what I mean by that, it's unlikely to have caused any damage to my cassette, which is here. So today I do not have to replace my cassette. Now, when you replace the chain, you need to make sure you replace it like for like, and what you should be looking for is the chain that matches the number of rings on your cassette, and I have 8 on here, so I'm looking for an 8-speed chain. The particular chain I bought would fit a 6, 7 or 8-speed chain. It's very important to get the right size chain, because the individual gaps, distances between these links vary from chain to chain. The first task is to remove this chain, and I could do it either by snapping out these rivets using the chain removing tool, or if you keep spinning your chain, what you might find is that it already has a speed link on it, and this particular one has a speed link. So in theory I'll just need to snap this off. Sometimes they can be a bit tough, and if I have any problems I'll just use my chain removing tool and break it anyway. But let me show you how to take this off, if I can manage to do it this time. I want to try and take a little bit of tension off this chain, so this is where I'm going to use this particular piece of wire, which is an old paper clip. Just pull it in through one of your links and wind it round. Bend your chain a bit and wind it round, and you can see you've now actually put a little bit of slack in this chain, and with any luck I should be able just to flip this off. Well, it can take a little bit of force, and there has been a time I've had to use a multi-tool just to actually even cut the particular chain off. I'm going to see if I can just wiggle it a little bit more. I've had no particular luck on this occasion to slip that off. As I say, sometimes they can be pretty tight. I've not come across a way of actually making sure I can always get them off. I haven't yet taken this chain off before. I know some people use this to clean the chains, but I haven't yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this chain removing tool. The idea about it is that I'm going to slip the chain onto this bracket here, hold it in place by turning this knob tight, and I'm going to turn this and push one of the pins out that holds the chain together. So I'll try to show you how I'm doing it. So I slip the chain into that particular gap, and then I just tighten up this knob to hold it in place, and you can see that if I turn this tool, it will sit on the rivet. Now if I keep turning it, I should hear a nice snap. That's it. Did you hear the snap? That means the rivet is pushed through. I'll just turn it to push it all the way through now, and then by undoing this, the chain is now disconnected. The next step is to size up your chain so that it's as close to the original length as possible, the new chain that is. This is my new chain on the bottom, and I've laid it out side by side with the old chain that I have just broken off, and you can see that my new chain is just a few links too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to snap off the chain here, which is just slightly longer than my original. I'm not going to do it on this one because, as you can see, the chain has thin parts and thick parts, and the speed links are designed to join onto or connect the thin parts of the chain. So if I break it here, it won't fit, and I'm going to have to make it shorter in the end. So I'm going to use the chain removing link here and take out this rivet for this particular chain, just like I showed you earlier. Now I have reinserted the chain over the small chain ring, brought the chain back over the cassette, threaded the chain around the rails and the rear hanger. The main thing here is to make sure that you don't accidentally put the chain over these little bits of metals there. There's one on here, and there's one just under there. I made a mistake once of actually putting the chain the wrong side, so I had to rebake the chain and put it all back on again. Now the two bits are hanging down, two ends of the chain are hanging down. I need to bring them together, but because the rear hanger is on a spring, it will make it difficult. So this is where I'm going to use my piece of wire once again to take the tension off and bring the two ends close together, which I'll just try and do now. So wrap a bit of the wire down here, and then bring it into another part of your chain and just twist the wire up there as well, just to hold it all in place. And what you have then is you've got these two ends quite close together. You then get your speed link, and you put the rivet of one half of the speed link through the two holes, and from the other side put the other half of the speed link together, and then you place the protruding bits of the speed link over each other, and then take out your wire. This one's not quite on at the moment. Hopefully it will snap in place. That's there, just got it snapped in place. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky to do that part, so what I've done before then is just sat on the bike and started to pedal very gently, and then it snapped the chain into place. And then all that's needed to do is to check that your gears are indexed, which I'll do very shortly, and hopefully then I won't need to adjust the index gears. But that chain is now secure. It's a brand new chain, And just to make sure, if I use my chain measuring tool again at the 0.5 side, slip that side in, and as you can see, that does not go in. So I've got a brand new chain on there, easy to replace, don't need to take it to a bike shop, job done.